what happens when your wife feels the loss, how to speed up her feeling the loss, and the 7 reasons that she doesn't feel the loss right now, what you can do about that with knowledge, understanding, and wisdom in this particular area. You can use this to actually turn the tides of the relationship and restore the marriage. Let's get started.
You just got to be coachable.
If you haven't already done so, do me a favor. Help me help you. If you want to save your marriage, you want to keep your kids from being raised in a broken home, you want to stop the divorce, subscribe to the channel now if you haven't already done that. Please, please, please subscribe to the channel. Help me, I would be very thankful. But more importantly for you, in addition to subscribing to the channel, press the little bell notification and change the settings to all. This is a 2-part video that I'm recording in the series. If you want to make sure that you see part 2 of this, you're going to have to change the algorithm so it'll know that you should see part 2 so that it doesn't hide it from you. The way you can do that is press the bell button and change the settings to all. If you don't already know who I am, my name is Denver and I help men that are facing an unwanted divorce or a separation forever from their long-term relationship lover or their wife, restore their marriage, stop the divorce, and if you've already got a legal divorce, remarry this woman. Let's get started. So the first thing that we need to do is understand, why does your wife not feel like she's losing you? You're probably at an all-time low. I know when I was going through what a lot of you watching this video are currently going through, it literally was the lowest moment in my life. I lost a lot of weight and I was already very super thin, but I went into depression. I felt hopeless. Honestly, at times I felt like I just wanted to give up on life. I felt defeated. I had lost my family. I didn't know how to restore it. And I actually had a comprehensive understanding of psychology and marriages and how all of that works, but I was struggling to restore my own marriage, and I quite frankly felt hopeless. If you love your wife more than anything else in your life, and you would give anything to save your family, to restore your family, stop the divorce, remarry your ex, whatever the case is, we can help you restore the marriage. I'm a firm believer that no marriage is hopeless, and you 100% can start taking action steps that are in line with your goals to restore the marriage, which is the opposite of what most likely you've been doing. You've been aligning your actions with your feelings, and that's making things worse. Are you depressed? Are you at an all-time low? Are you feeling suicidal, or at least having thoughts about what's the point in going on? You're feeling hopeless. You've lost 40 pounds. If your weight has fluctuated and you've lost a lot of weight and you're feeling hopeless, maybe you're laid up on your ass on the couch and you're eating Cheetos, but you're still losing weight because you're not consuming calories and you're losing muscle also. If that's you, put that in the comments. I'd like to know if you're currently in the shoes that I was wearing when I was going through this myself. So for a lot of you, there's a couple of different things that you can do to turn this around right now. It's colder than a witch's titties in a brass bra. And you're probably thinking, what in the F did he just say that for? Because I just gave you a psychological pattern interrupt that has nothing to do with this video. A lot of you right now, your wife is confirming the bias that she has against the relationship, and it does not matter what you do. You can do everything right for a month, and then you do one thing wrong, and it's back to divorce is on again. So why did I give you a pattern interrupt? Where did I come up with it's colder than a witch's titties in a brass bra? How does that help you save your marriage? Because right now, by you aligning your actions with your goals, I'm going off script a little bit because I just thought of this, but by doing a pattern interrupt, it will create curiosity. The human brain cannot consciously think 2 thoughts at the same time. So whenever you're creating curiosity in your wife, while you're going through a separation, while you're facing a divorce, anything that stops her from confirming the neural pathways of the bias, you can call it, I call it confirmation bias. When I went to school and majored in psychology, I was taught that it's called cognitive bias, but what that is the neural pathways are confirming their justification for doing what they're doing. And in this case, if you're watching this video, for a small percentage of you, your wife may actually have confirmation bias against you and or the relationship, which is one of the reasons right now she does not feel lost. Everything that her brain is looking to do right now to be comfortable and efficient, the way the human brain is designed to work, is it's looking for reasons to justify, to confirm the bias that she has against you and or the relationship. When she's constantly running those neural pathways, she will not feel like she's losing you, even if she is. Even if she's ruining her life, she's ruining your life, and oftentimes it's the reason that a woman can absolutely decimate the emotional stability of the kids when they're involved in a nightmare breakup that they don't want. It's because she has confirmation bias. And by understanding that on a deeper level, you can create a series of pattern interrupts that will cause her to be curious, thinking, what the hell did he just say? What the hell is he doing? Why is he doing that? Anytime a woman is curious, she'll process that in a different neural region of the brain. And whenever she's processing curiosity, curiosity is level 1 of attraction. And a woman that's currently curious or thinking about what the hell is this idiot doing, she's not going to be confirming the bias. Every day that you have her curious, every interaction that you can create curiosity will cause confirmation bias to start the process of dissolving neurologically to the point that with enough time, it becomes a biological change, meaning that we can actually see her thought patterns change on an MRI. Well, Denver, why are you bringing this up? If your wife currently wants a divorce and you don't, it does not matter what you do. How many of you out there, you're in another program, they're teaching you to do no contact, all of these different things, climb up these grueling mountains, fight, all these different things. You're in the gym, your biceps are getting bigger, your waist is getting trimmer, your manhood is getting a couple of inches longer. Oh, you're feeling good. You're no longer in depression. If that's you, put in the comments how that's working to restore your marriage. And if it's backfiring, stick that in the comments, because I'm guessing for any of you that have done that without addressing confirmation bias or understanding the reason that she's not feeling the loss, it's making things worse. If that's you, stick that in the comments. It'll give me some video ideas for the upcoming videos. For those of you that have subscribed, video editor, put the subscribe button up again. Make sure and hit the bell notification so you don't miss the video when I do one on confirmation bias, because it can be a game changer for you. But first, what I want to talk about that's actually on my agenda today is you need to understand the reasons that she doesn't feel lost right now. Number 1, a woman will always be on a mission to maintain control. This is the reason when she's on a mission, especially if she has confirmation bias, if she's on a mission to fulfill her destiny of a divorce, every action will be in line with maintaining control until the train reaches that destination of divorce land, where everyone's miserable, the home is broken, and she ruins your life along with hers. But right now, when a woman's actively ruining her life, there's scripture that actually supports this. It says that a foolish woman tears her very own house down with her own hands. It doesn't say a bad woman. It didn't say a stupid woman. It didn't say a bad person. A really good woman can do something foolish whenever she is on a mission and she's psychologically walking and running the neural program in her brain called confirmation bias. The confirmation bias could have come from another man. It could have been something that was caused and triggered by her father, her ex-husband, her ex-boyfriend, her brother, a teacher, something that's confirming the bias against you and or the marriage. It could also very much be caused by you having an affair, you acting like a controlling pig narcissist. If you're a narcissist, guess what? I know you're not really a narcissist, because narcissists don't watch my channels because they don't care enough to learn how to save the relationship. But the point is maybe she feels like you're a narcissist. If your wife's called you a narcissist, and for some of you, you're probably even wondering, like, am I a fucking narcissist? Put that in the comments if she's gaslighted you to the point that you're starting to be delusional. And by the way, it is very normal for a very good woman that's facing a divorce that she wants and that you don't want to pivot into borderline personality disorder. Some of you need to go look that up and see what that is, because you're actually actively dealing with a woman that has borderline personality disorder. That could have been something that you contributed to, and it could have been something that was a contribution of past relationship failures or traumas in her life. And right now, maybe she's seeing a counselor, and some of you are even thinking, well, you know, we can't get back together until I deal with my trauma or she deals with her trauma. If that's you, put that in the comment. I'm happy to make a video on that. But guess what? Let me tell you a secret. You probably both had these traumas before the marriage, which means that we don't have to address all of those things before we restore the marriage. So stop believing the BS that psychologists have enrolled you on that says, oh, this has to be restored, particular counselors. Counselors, a lot of time, I think counselors are worth their weight in gold. But statistically, marriage counselors are not. Well, Denver, are you dogging marriage counselors? Damn right, I am dogging marriage counselors. And you know what? I get a lot of hate for that. But guess what? Counselors, I'm an advocate of counselors. I'm an advocate of counseling. But you know how many counselors have actually caused divorce? Right now, put in the comments if your wife is seeing a counselor, and I guarantee you that counselor is enrolling your wife into some bullshit that she needs to leave you, that she is never going to be able to heal from her emotional traumas or live her best life or be happy, because what's happening is your wife might be running confirmation bias, and now she's enrolled the counselor to become an enemy of the marriage, and now the counselor is having confirmation bias. So do counselors help save marriages? 100%. I truly believe with every fiber of my being that counselors, particularly marriage counselors, when they're involved, even if your wife is seeing a counselor and it's not necessarily a marriage counselor, but the counselor is aware that the marriage is in turmoil, that counselor will usually almost always embolden and enable your wife to believe a lie that the marriage can't be restored, that your wife cannot be happy and thrive emotionally within the marriage. And guess what? I know where they're teaching that from, because I learned a lot of that same bullshit in college when I went to the university and majored in this, because this is what I was taught. And if somebody is under the guise of a counselor, particularly in the United States, that's considered medical. So they're subject to the guidelines of their training, meaning even if they don't believe the shit that they're saying, they could potentially be sued for malpractice to go outside of their education, which is why I steer away from that shit. So many men that I've met in the last 11 years that they are 100% headed to divorce land fast and furious, and every time a counselor is involved with the wife, it speeds up divorce land. Like, counselors are typically, when they're involved in a relationship in any capacity, they will particularly embolden and enable the woman to believe things that will contribute to her ruining her life and taking you and your children with it. So I am not an advocate of a counselor, in particular involving a marriage, if the counselor is advising the spouse. Do you know how many men that I meet when we find out that the counselor has diagnosed you as a narcissist and they've never met you? They have literally confirmed with your wife that you are clinically diagnosed as a psychopath or narcissistic. It happened to me. It 100% happened to me when I was facing an unwanted divorce or a separation forever. 100%, I'm not any of those things, but a counselor diagnosed me with those things. And that same counselor also contributed to me getting a divorce. If I want to back this up by a scripture, a foolish woman tears her very own house down with her very own hands. And I would even go so far as to say, now, we're not condemning women. I love women. I love my wife. I love my daughters. I love my granddaughter. I think women are amazing, and I think men and women are created equally, but we definitely have different roles in society, and we certainly have different roles in marriage. We are biologically and organically engineered to physically be different. So we are very, very different. We're different in how we think, and we're different in how our bodies function. Women typically process every thought through their emotions and how they feel. Men do not. We do it completely the opposite way. For a lot of you right now, your wife doesn't feel heard, valued, or seen. The reason she doesn't is because you've never put yourself in her shoes and tried to process things the way that she does. A lot of you think that it's appropriate for her to come share her feelings with you, and then you think it's also appropriate for you to come share your feelings with her. It's not. It's okay for her to share feelings with you, because that gives you an opportunity to make her feel heard, valued, and seen, and to build intimacy with your wife. Newsflash, she truthfully doesn't give a fuck about your feelings. She wants to feel like she's needed, that you hear her, you see her, you value her, and she wants to feel emotionally safe with you. What makes a woman feel emotionally safe? When you act in the masculine, and it gives her permission to act in the feminine. Right now, when a woman is on a mission to be in control and to get a divorce, by the very nature of it, it's a foolish thing unless you have contributed to her wanting the divorce, but even so, maybe you cheated on her repetitively, you were a chronic cheater, or maybe whatever. Maybe you never made her feel heard, valued, and seen. Maybe you were just a shitty husband and you know it. It doesn't matter. If she is maintaining control to get a divorce, that is a feminine trait. Now, the only way that you're going to restore your marriage is if you can level up your shit. Okay, and a lot of you've leveled up your shit, but that's not enough. It's backfired on you. Put that in the comments if that's you. That's not enough. You do have to do that, but there's more to it if you want their marriage restored. If you just want to feel great about yourself and go sing kumbaya, then great, level up your shit. But leveling up your shit when a woman has confirmation bias is not enough to save the marriage. You've got to also lead her back into the marriage. You've got to act in the masculine, but understand how to lead her to change so she pivots from the masculine herself back into the feminine. And that's not going to happen until she feels like she can actually be open and it's emotionally safe to open up and vomit on you. It's emotionally safe space to come condemn you, criticize about your past actions, and complain about every freaking thing that you have done, that you're actively doing, or that you ever will do. That is a feminine trait. A man that is condemning, complaining, or criticizing is a man that my wife calls acting like a little bitch, which is you acting in the feminine. You've got to transition into making her feel emotionally safe. All women want their husbands to be a 20-pound bottle of Valium that can't be phased. Are you that guy? Are you still believing that your wife is the prodigal son from the Bible and that she's the one that walked out and she'll return? Newsflash, you're most likely the prodigal. You emotionally walked out the door way before she got some balls and decided to physically do that. So if that's where you've at and you've been believing that she's the prodigal, put in the comments if you realize you've been enrolled in a lie. You were the prodigal, you walked out emotionally, you walked out spiritually, and now you're wondering, where is she? She's not there because you walked out on her. And she needed to protect herself because that's just a smart thing to do. Now, Denver, I thought you said she's ruining her life. For a lot of you, in a lot of cases, she most likely is ruining her life. Put that in the comments. If your wife is not just ruining her life, she's ruining your life. She's ruining your kid's life. Put that in the comments. So a foolish woman that tears her house down with her very own hands will often go to a counselor, and that counselor will also help her tear the house down. This is the reason I'm not an advocate of someone counseling your wife during an unwanted divorce or separation, because oftentimes that counselor will counsel the woman to ruin her life because they are not thinking the consequences of what happens long term with the divorce. Is the counselor asking her, where are you going to be at financially if you guys split your assets 50-50? Where are your children going to be? Are your children also going to need counseling going through this shit show with you and your husband? Wouldn't it make sense to see the changes that he's actually making and reconcile the relationship? Wouldn't it make sense to let go of your confirmation bias? Why is the counselor not telling your wife, is it possible that you might be experiencing borderline personality disorder? Is it possible that you're stuck on the action steps of cognitive bias or confirmation bias, and that your brain is officially running neural pathways, that maybe we should actually address that, stop the confirmation bias so you can actually heal and see what the fuck is actually in front of you before you ruin your life? In the 11 years that I've been helping people restore their marriages, I've never seen one counselor have enough intelligence and get rid of their own pride and move past their education just a little bit on marriage restoration and why it never can happen, and actually go back to their education and understanding the psychology of what confirmation bias is, and maybe even suggest your wife get an MRI so we can see, are you actively running psychological confirmation bias, and have you been doing it so long that it's possibly even projected from your father, from those past relationships, from your ex-husband, and now you're projecting confirmation bias onto your current husband that you're about to divorce, and you're causing him to pay the price for things that he didn't even do. But guess what? Who else is paying the price if that's the case? The wife is. Why isn't the counselor helping her with that? Because it's just not normal. I don't know why they don't do it, but they don't do it. Item number 2 here, in case you're guessing, why a woman does not feel lost when she is heading to divorce and you don't want it, is because of confirmation bias. That's actually in my notes, but I'm so passionate about that subject, I couldn't wait till I got there. So what is item number 3? Item number 3 is embarrassment. Maybe you have actually become the best husband on the earth. So your wife walked out the door, you're doing an in-house separation, you're nesting, she's asked you to leave, and you're living at mom and dad's, whatever the case is. Put in the comments what your case is. I'm very curious to know. That'll give me some video ideas that can also help you. One of the reasons that she's not feeling lost right now, how many of you out there, your wife has told you the reason that she wants a divorce, and it's like A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, and all of those reasons, you actually have addressed those. You have genuinely, sincerely, in your heart, changed. You are no longer the man that was doing or acting like or living like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all of the reasons that she wanted a divorce. You've eliminated all of those reasons. You genuinely have sincerely changed, and you know with every fiber of your being that you honestly have become the best husband for her. You truly have become the best option. But she's still saying, I want a divorce. Why? Because when she was dealing with confirmation bias that she's still actively playing, you might be signs of her talking about, well, you know, in the spring or the summer, we need to do da, 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 da. And then the next day or even the same day or an hour later, she's like, but you know we're never getting back together. You know we're not going to stay married. You know we are getting a divorce. I just want to make sure I'm not trying to give you false hope. Put that in the comments if that's what you're going through and you're like, what the fuck? They're like, this is making me crazy. Well, guess what? The very nature of confirmation bias is making her feel crazy, okay? When you have a woman that you're leading her out of confirmation bias and you're creating curiosity, but then she goes back and her brain is biologically still wired to run that confirmation bias, it's literally giving her anxiety and maybe even causing panic and fear, and it's causing you to seem emotionally unsafe, even though you are completely safe. You're completely physically safe, you're completely emotionally safe, but she's feeling scared, she's feeling unsure, she's feeling anxiety, she's feeling PTSD. She's got a counselor for her PTSD. Does you have to wait until she gets completely cured from that? It's called post-traumatic stress disorder, borderline personality disorder. That's called a disorder, confirmation bias. That's literally also a disorder. All of the disorders, those are all psychological, and they can be psychological long enough that we can see them on a brain scan, meaning that having those thoughts over and over can become biological. But the great news is they're simply disorders. Something that's not a mental illness can actually be coached out of somebody. So here's the reason I bring this up. A lot of you, you've been enrolled into this bullshit story that your marriage can't be restored until she is cured from her PTS disorder, from her borderline personality disorder, whatever the disorder might be. Well, guess what? Let me ask you this. Is her counselor billing her by the hour? If the counselor is billing by the hour, is it in the counselor's best interest to keep billing, to keep your wife coming back for maybe like a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 3 years? Is it in the counselor's best interest to not cure the disorder? I've seen Tony Robbins cure disorders in one session in a group environment with 2,000 people in the room. Bam! The great thing about a disorder is if your wife is experiencing any of these disorders, you leading her back into the marriage, leading her out of confirmation bias, can actually cure her from the disorders. I get so many students that their wife has been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. Actually, that's a less diagnosed one, but PTSD, that's a big one. Almost always when the marriage is restored, when the man leads her out of PTSD, the borderline personality disorder and the PTSD, the post-traumatic stress disorder, just cure themselves, because the very nature of a safe relationship helps her feel secure enough that the disorder dissolves. It's not a freaking mental illness, it's simply a disorder. Don't be married to the story that disorders for you or her have to be solved, cured, or healed before your relationship. Be enrolled in the truth that the relationship being restored might be the catalyst to actually cure the disorder. So the bullshit about if you love her, let her go. If you love her, do everything you can to lead her out of confirmation bias, to have different thoughts. Stop thinking that you changing is enough to save the marriage. You've got to lead her to change. And you can lead her out of confirmation bias, you can lead her out of PTSD, and you can actually lead her out of borderline personality disorder, even though once the relationship is restored, it is actually quite normal for a woman to continue still having borderline personality disorder. So I do suggest that you study up on that, because you can actually help her with that. And then with knowledge, understanding, and wisdom around it, once the relationship is restored and she feels like it's a safe place to talk to you and she's more willing to listen, you can actually help her get a counselor that can actually help her with that. Going back to number 3, embarrassment. You have literally become the best husband for her. She knows it, you know it, the neighbor's dog knows it, your preacher knows it, your mama knows it, her mama knows it, and her mama hates you, but she knows you're the best option. But her mama's full of pride and maybe hasn't liked you since day one. Maybe you hurt her baby and she wants you dead, right? If somebody hurts one of my kids, I'm gonna want them dead. So you understand what I'm saying? Maybe the mama paid for the divorce. If that's where you're at, if a family member paid for your wife to file a divorce, put that in the comments. I call that an enemy of the marriage. And now your wife is literally too embarrassed to back out. Maybe your wife has went and told the enemy of the marriage. So how many of you, your wife has went and made some friends with some hoochie hooker? She's hooked up with her, some low-class piece of trash that's had failed relationship after failed relationship after failed relationship, and now all of a sudden she's there to emotionally support your wife. I call her an enemy of the marriage. Your wife has bonded with her and she feels emotionally safe with her, and you've changed. And your wife sees the changes, and maybe your wife might even be going out with you on a date again, but she's doing it in secret. Why is she doing that? Because she has went and told all of the enemies of the marriage, her mama, the hoochie new friend that she has, anybody, maybe even her boyfriend or a limerent affair partner, emotional affair partner, maybe even your preacher. She's told all of these people, it could be one person, it could be a handful of people, but she's told all of these people things that would make her look good, that would cause them to confirm the bias against you as well. So maybe you cheated a little bit and she's went and told everybody. So what's happened is, because she's bonded with these people and she has basically kind of got a new little circle, and the relationship has been bound against you being the controlling narcissist, you being Satan, you being the bad guy, she is going to be embarrassed, because for her to come back into the marriage, it would literally make her look like a fucking idiot. So for her to come back into the marriage, there's going to be a price that she's going to have to pay. I'll give you an example. When my wife filed a divorce on me, and by the way, originally I'm the one that asked for it, and then after she left, I come to my senses and realized, what the fuck did I do? I literally ran my wife off, but then it was too little too late. She was done with it, and we were separated, and she went and filed the divorce. And I'm like, I don't want that. I really didn't want it, even when I was saying I wanted a divorce. I just wanted us to get along. I wanted her to change. So I threatened her with divorce and said the D word until she left. And she got on a plane and flew 2,000 miles away, and we got separated. She enrolled an enemy of the marriage. The enemy of the marriage was her daughter, my stepdaughter. My stepdaughter was the biggest enemy of the marriage. The reason for that is my wife wanted to look good. My wife wanted to justify, why would you leave this man? So my wife told the truth about every negative thing I had ever done in our entire marriage. But how many of you, put in the comments if you think my wife might have embellished the truth just a little bit to make herself look better, which at the same time, it made me look 10 times worse. And so here you got my stepdaughter thinking, oh, this mother hurt my mom And my mom has told me all these horrible stories and probably made things sound a little bit worse than what they actually were. And now my stepdaughter officially hates my guts, to the point that when my wife was actually considering getting back with me, my stepdaughter literally said, if you go back to that narcissist, I am done with you. I am no longer your daughter. We are done. Don't even call me. Delete your phone number from my phone. My wife literally was forced, with being faced of paying the price of looking like a freaking idiot to her daughter if she came back to me, because she done such a great job selling her daughter that I was Satan. I'm not Satan. Even in the worst parts of our marriage, I had some moments, but I wasn't Satan. Do you understand what I'm saying by that? So if that's where you're at, put that in the comments. But regardless if that's where you're at or not, this is what you need to understand. For all of you that are watching this video, if she comes back to you right now, she has enrolled enough people against you that I call enemies of the marriage, that it's going to make her look like a dumbass if she goes back to you. So here's what I mean. For her to come back, she's going to have to pay a price. If she comes back to you, there's no price for you to pay. But if you don't understand how to get rid of the confirmation bias and attract her back the right way, and realize that you changing is not enough, you've got to understand how to psychologically lead her out of the confirmation bias so that she changes. Your marriage won't be restored unless she changes. For a lot of you, you've never heard anything like this, and right now you're at a crossroads watching this video. If you don't start doing something radically different today, a lot of you watching this video, you're going to run out of time. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel yet, do it now and make sure and press the little bell button and change it to all, so you get every video as I put new content out. And this is what I mean by you're at a crossroads. Right now, if you don't turn the train around, you're going to run out of time and it's going to reach divorce land. Don't be delusional like I was when I was in your shoes the first time I actually ended up in divorce land, and a marriage that was over 2 decades with 3 kids ended, and I truthfully believe that it wasn't supposed to. But it did, because I was naive enough to think that I had more time, and I did not. And a lot of you watching this video, if you don't turn that train around right now, you are going to be divorced, and guess what? You're not supposed to be divorced. This really is your soulmate, and both of your lives are about to be fucked up. Will she eventually regret it? Most likely, yes, she will. But if you don't get her regretting it before the divorce, there's a lot more likelihood that she's going to be married to another man. Did you know that 73% of women that divorce their husband and marry the next husband say they wish they were still married to their ex? They made a mistake. Don't be that guy. You're at a crossroads right now. If you keep going the direction that you're on, you are going to be divorced. Get out of Naiveville. I was there and I had to pay the price for it. My kids are still paying the price for it. My grandchildren are paying the price for it, because it's a broken home and it's forever broken. And it's just like a cluster for the rest of our lives. I'm not saying you can't have a good marriage in a second marriage or a third marriage. You very much can, but it's way more complicated. And for a lot of you watching it, you can save this marriage if you'll do something radically different. Instead of allowing her to keep driving the train to divorce land, and you're the passenger on the back thinking, well, eventually when we get to Pittsburgh, I'll have my marriage restored. Unless you do something crazy different, it's going to end up where it's heading, divorce. My challenge to you right now would be turn left. You're at a crossroads. Do something different. So going back to the enemy of the marriage, who is your enemy of the marriage? Is this the hoochie hooker new friend? Is it an affair partner, emotional affair partner, physical affair partner? Is it a boyfriend? Is it her mama? Is it her counselor? Put that in the comments right now. I respond to every single comment. I would like to see, what is this enemy of the marriage doing to help you get an unwanted divorce? By the way, there is a way to counteract the damage the enemies of the marriage are doing. If you'll put who your enemy of the marriage is in the comments, I will do a video on how do you deal with that. Make sure that you press the bell button so you're notified when I publish it. The next thing is physical safety and emotional safety, which for a woman are the same thing. Let me explain what I mean by that. How many of you, you're doing a How many of you are doing a handoff with your kids, like your visitation, you're switching out, and your wife is in the car and she's got the window rolled up and she's barely cracking it, acting like she's afraid of you? The reason for that is whenever a woman doesn't feel like you are in the masculine, meaning that you're emotionally safe, where she can come and be in the feminine, meaning complain, condemn, or criticize. Now, I'm not saying that a feminine woman is always going to walk in the 3 C's, I like to call it, condemning, complaining, or criticizing, but I am saying that that is a feminine characteristic. And the reason that I'm pointing that up is right now, how many of you are trying to get her to see the error of her ways, and you're doing that in a way that's complaining, it's criticizing, or you're condemning her because she wants a divorce and you don't. She's hurting the kids because of where she's leading the family and you're not doing that. While all of that might be true, it's still condemning. And anytime a man walks in the 3 C's, he will be perceived by his mate as walking in the feminine, which will cause her to respond in the masculine. So, how do you fix that? Well, you've got to understand that for a woman, whenever a woman doesn't feel emotionally safe with a man, she's going to process that, and that can actually manifest into the physical lack of safety, meaning that she will actually be afraid of you, and you've never shouted, you've never raised your voice, you've never verbally or you've never done anything to cause her to think that she should physically be afraid of you, but yet she can start to become physically afraid of you, because here's why. This is not something that she's just making up. If you see a rattlesnake and it's about to bite you and you know that it might kill you, you're going to process that right here in your brain. However, if you feel emotionally unsafe as a man, first of all, I would probably challenge you on your masculine leadership, but it is possible for a man to feel emotionally unsafe. And if you're expressing your emotional unsafety with your woman, that makes you seem even more unsafe, because it is a feminine characteristic. But a man processes emotions here, and he processes physical fear in 2 different places. If a woman's about to be eaten to death by a grizzly bear, she processes it right here. If a woman doesn't feel emotionally safe to be herself, to open up to her husband without fear of repercussion, meaning you're going to condemn, complain, or criticize, or even worse, try to fix her, she processes that emotional fear in the exact same place. I mean, literally, the exact same place biologically, which is also neurologically, in the exact same place in the brain. So for a woman, physical safety or physical fear is, for her, it feels exactly the same as emotional fear. So whenever you're acting in the feminine and she doesn't feel emotionally safe with you, it literally feels to her like she's in physical danger. And you need to understand that, because having knowledge, understanding, and wisdom around that can help you understand. So whenever she starts pushing the buttons on your piano, you won't be as likely to be triggered, because you're starting to understand that for her, it will physically scare her and confirm the bias that she has against a relationship, because you're responding in the feminine, it's aligning your actions with your feelings, and it's the opposite of aligning your actions with your goals to restore the relationship. And as you start to understand this stuff that's radically different, this will give you insights on what to do to fix it. Number 6 is kind of tied to number 3, and that's simply pride. You ever heard the saying, pride goeth before the fall? Right now, she's heading to divorce land, and all of you are about to fall. Is divorce going to be a good thing for her? If the answer is no, put that in the comments. Here's my question. If you guys actually end up in a divorce and she ends up married to another man and your kids have to have step-parents and all that, maybe you've already been through that once and you're facing it again, how much has that already cost you the first go-round? How much is it about to cost you if this train that's heading to divorce land actually ends up there? Here's another question. What's it going to cost her? What's it going to cost her? What's it going to cost your kids? Put that in the comments. And this all stems from her being prideful. Well, why is that? Because it's tied to number 1. It's a way that she maintains control. By her walking in her pride, and it's just what I'm doing, I've made up my mind and I'm not changing it. It's step number 1 tied to step number pride. Pride goeth before the fall. Whenever a woman has pride and it's so severe she can't see, or maybe she's even hurting your kids and she's acting like she's oblivious to it, It's 100% pride, but pride is always accompanied at this stage, if it's that severe, by confirmation bias. If you know that's what you're dealing with, put that in the comments and I'll do a video on confirmation bias. But I won't unless you put it in the comments. So, what is the last thing that you need to be aware of if you want to save your marriage? Guess what? I just gave you a list of 6 things, and I'm about to give you the 7th thing, of why she doesn't feel lost. She's not depressed. She's not heartbroken. She's not feeling suicidal. It seems like she's quite frankly happy. She's in control of her life. She's wearing a lower shirt. She's showing cleavage. She's going out with the girls. She's got some hoochie friends and they are having fun, right? She might have a boyfriend or a limber and affair partner, all of those things. These are the reasons that she doesn't feel lost. If you would like to know the reasons that you can actually cause her to change and you can change your situation, that train that's heading to divorce land and you're an unwanted passenger on the train and she's driving it, if you'd like to know what you can do right away to cause her to start feeling the loss. Remember I said earlier in the video, if you want to save the marriage, you having a bigger dick is not going to do it. You having a higher paycheck, bigger biceps, and a thinner waistline, it's not going to do it. She'll literally resent those changes unless you lead her to change. If you would like to know the 6 things that you can do right away to cause her to start feeling the loss, I'm going to give you a couple of different paths to get there. One of the things is, if you haven't already done so, please hit the fucking bell notification and select all, so when I post the next video in this series on what can you do right away to cause her to start feeling the loss, you'll be notified. Here's something else that you can do without waiting for that video to be posted. If you're seeing any of these 6 things have been in your relationship that I just covered in this video, you're probably dealing with confirmation bias if you see that it's 2 or more of these things. A way that you can take actions to start getting rid of confirmation bias right now is pause this video. My video editor right now is putting a website up that is a free resource to you. It's called the Marriage U-Turn Masterclass. Or if you're watching this on your Roku TV, scan the QR code that my video editor is putting up right now. If you're doing this on your phone, pause the video and go to the website, denvergriffin.com/masterclass, or you can just go to denvergriffin.com and click on Marriage U-Turn Masterclass. Reserve your free seat for that masterclass right now. In this free Marriage U-Turn Masterclass, I'm going to address the steps that you can start taking right now to dissolving confirmation bias so that you can go ahead and take the first action steps. That train that's heading to divorce land, let's put the brakes on it and start the process of putting the gear shifter in reverse and at least getting it to go back the other direction. Remember what I said. A lot of you right now, you're at a crossroads. Stop just watching the fucking YouTube videos and go do something that's going to give you a transformation. I love YouTube. YouTube actually can save marriages if the wife doesn't have confirmation bias. We can turn the train around with the information you're getting here from YouTube. But if you're dealing with confirmation bias, information will never be enough fast enough because you're going to run out of time before the train reaches divorce land. So instead of continuing on that direction while you're at the crossroads, remember what I said. The decision for a lot of you that you make right now in this video is going to determine what the rest of your life is going to look like. Scan the QR code, go to the website, take a left turn. Aren't you ready to do something different? Time is only on your side if you put it there, men, and I'm giving you an opportunity to do that right now with this free resource at denvergriffin.com/masterclass. This week is a shorter week than normal because we're posting the video a little bit later and the seats are going to fill up fast. Pause the video, go register for the masterclass, and then come back. Okay, so I'm assuming that you just registered for that masterclass, and if you didn't, why not? Do you not understand that if you don't do something different, your wife is going to be married to another man? You're running out of time. Do me 2 favors. Now that you've registered for the masterclass, my video editor is going to put up the video that you need next. Make sure and watch that video. Click on it when it comes up. And if you haven't already done so, I'm going to ask you one last time for yourself. Do something radically different. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, which is not enough, hit the bell notification and change the settings to all. They are suppressing my content because I'm fighting evil. With love, I will see you inside that live masterclass, free marriage U-turn masterclass. Register for your seat right now. Scan the QR code or go to the website. We could not have made it any easier for you. Register the seat today and start changing your wife, which is going to be a requirement if you want to save this marriage before it's over. And if it's already over and she's not remarried, let's do something before she gets remarried. Visit the Free Marriage U-Turn Masterclass and let's start the process of proposing to her and going down the aisle again. You can restore a marriage if she's not married to somebody else. I do it all the time. Look at my client success stories on the playlist on this YouTube channel. Check out Jason, a good old country boy from Georgia, and he would love it if you would watch his video on how he became remarried after a divorce.